Hey everyone, fair warning, this is part 2. You should probably watch part 1 if you haven't, because I don't think this will make all that much sense to you if you don't. Then again, you'll probably figure out the gist of it pretty quick, so forget it. You gotta speak up, or turn the music down, I can't hear you.
There. Face cleanse. That's what that is. I showed you that there, that exact same one.
No, seriously, I can't even address what you're saying because I have no idea what it is. I really hope this doesn't go on too long because this video would suddenly become really, really boring. It's already boring, Logicked. Yeah, fuck you. Okay, I think you said, and over there, where that light's coming from. Just there, you see? I'm decently confident about that, 75%. So let me just show you a quick comparison here between the sky as it looks in this image and the sky as it looked in the filtered image. A little bit less impressive, right? A lot more mundane looking. So now that we can actually see what's going on here, let's talk about what is going on here. I'm assuming that by the light coming up over there, you're not just talking about the clouds. Those are kind of dark, not light. So I think what you're talking about is the fact that the sky towards the horizon looks lighter than the sky straight up or directly towards the sunset. So let's go back to remedial sky color class. Now, the reason the sky is blue is that the atmosphere scatters light. Light collides with small particles in the atmosphere and scatters, and light with shorter wavelengths, that's closer in size to the particles that it's passing by, is more likely to be scattered, more likely to be bounced around, and that means from all directions in the sky you see light with shorter wavelengths more, and light with shorter wavelengths is blue light. Most people are going to know that already, at least in the form, the sky is blue because of light scattering. But that's not the end of the story. What happens if the particles in the air are big enough that not just light with shorter wavelengths like blue is scattered predominantly, but also light with longer wavelengths like red and everything in between? What if you have water droplets, dust particles, things like that in the air? Well, because it can more effectively scatter a wider range of wavelengths, there's more of the light spectrum being scattered around, more of that's coming into your eyes, it's more white. This is the reason clouds are white, it's the reason why on an overcast day the sky looks light gray, it's the reason your headlights aren't very helpful in the fog, and it's the reason that when you look straight up, the sky is pretty dark blue by sky standards, but if you look towards the horizon, it's a lot whiter. It's called Mie scattering, M-I-E. The thing is, when you're looking straight up, you're not looking through that much atmosphere. That's effectively the shortest distance you can get from you to space. But when you look towards the horizon, you're looking through a lot more atmosphere. When you look straight up, you are looking through a decent amount of dust, water droplets, whatever, but when you look towards the horizon, you're looking through a lot more. And that means there's a lot more scattering of white light. So if you go out on a clear sunny day and you look all the way around you, 360 degrees around that horizon, the sky above that horizon is going to look pretty light. And if you look straight up, it's going to look darker blue. Now, the reason it's still showing up in your video here is because, well, look at it. This is not after sunset. The sun is still up. It's still lighting the sky over there. Over in that direction, it looks like daytime, and that's how daytime looks. If you were to wait around a little while and keep filming the sunset, you would eventually notice that the area of the sky that we're looking at right now would get darker as the sun actually set, and as it stopped lighting that area. But that hasn't happened yet. The sun is still pretty high in the sky, so I really don't know what you would expect other than for the sky at the horizon to look like it's a normal day. Now, the point I want to make here, Hunter, is if on a normal day you can go outside and all the way around the horizon the sky is light like this, how can that possibly imply that there's a second sun rising? I mean, at that point, that sun would have to be rising along the full 360 degrees of the horizon, all day, every day, and yet somehow you never actually see it. Just some light sky that kind of maybe indicates it's there. Are you absolutely sure this makes sense to you?
That's incredible.
Well, it's at least some very nice video of the English countryside, I'll give you that. All the nonsense aside, I'm kind of enjoying this part. I wish you'd had it looking like this the whole time.
I don't know if you can see as well, but that pattern, the square pattern, I know a lot of people thought it was maybe just the camera. This is this brand new camera. Brand fucking spanking new iPhone fucking Pro thing. And it's doing the same thing.
I don't know what you mean by square pattern, but digital cameras by their nature do tend to have those kind of problems. Noise, compression, color bending, whatever. It's just kind of a fact of life. If you don't like it, don't get a digital camera. And it doesn't really matter if it's your brand fucking spanking fucking new fucking iPhone fucking Pro fucking thing either. It's still a digital camera. It's still not going to be perfect. It'll be good. It'll be good enough for pretty much anything you need, I'm sure. But don't expect perfection. That's just not even fair. Especially considering it's a cell phone camera. I mean, cell phone cameras are great nowadays, but they're still cell phone cameras. Let's temper our expectations a little bit. Just because you spent a lot of money on it doesn't mean that it's a perfect record of reality. In fact, no camera is. You could spend millions and it still wouldn't be. It's technology, not magic.
Simulator. That's what I think. That's what I think. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I know that's what you think. I don't really know why that's what you think, but that's what you think. But it's starting to sound an awful lot like I don't know how cameras work, therefore Sun Simulator, which is exactly what I would have expected from experience.
I'm gonna go back to the camera.
No! Okay. Watch the green lens flare as it comes past the blue semicircle. Yeah, we kind of forgot about that green lens flare, didn't we? You said to watch it like way back at the start of the video and then nothing happened. Is anything going to happen this time or are we just going to ignore it again?
See a square pattern, see? Look.
Okay, so I'm watching the green lens flare and it looks like the green lens flare. What am I supposed to be looking at here?
Looks like fucking, I don't know, it looks like a checkerboard. You see it?
You know, now that you say it, I do actually see it. I didn't see it before, maybe I just wasn't looking close enough, or maybe it just wasn't as obvious before, but now that I see it, it's kind of hard to unsee it. For anyone who hasn't seen it yet, I'll put a grid up on the screen. The pattern is going to follow that grid. It's a very regular large grid pattern that only shows up in the brightest parts of the image, specifically where the sun is. Now, I don't know what is causing this. I'm not aware of any camera that has this issue, but then again, who knows? I'm obviously not aware of every issue plaguing every camera. It could also be an issue with the effect that's being applied. Considering this is a digital camera, a very complicated piece of technology, there's all kinds of things that could be going wrong, and it doesn't really matter exactly what is going wrong. What does matter is the fact that while you're swinging the camera around wildly, the grid pattern is staying perfectly still relative to the camera, but it's not staying perfectly still relative to the sky. So we know for sure that this is related to your camera, not to the sky, which really is all that matters, because you're trying to convince us that this is something in the sky, when because of how it moves with your camera, we know it can't be. Watch it. What does it refer to? I assume the lens flare. Alright, I see the lens flare. Yes, I'm watching. The flare spreads out as if it's hitting a sphere shape. Watch again. Okay, hold on. You know it's a lens flare. You're moving the camera around and that's moving it around. You know it's not in the sky. You know this is something produced by your camera. You're even calling it a lens flare. And you're telling me that you think it hits something, by which I can only assume you mean in the sky. So how... You know, never mind. Go ahead.
It's to do with the sun simulator hiding something, like a shield or something up there.
So you're talking about the pattern, but the text is about the lens flare. Okay. So the pattern somehow is to hide a shield? A sun simulator shield? Okay, I have a little advice. Take the filter off, throw it in the garbage can, or whatever the equivalent is of that for video effects, and forget you ever saw it, because this effect really sucks, and it's making your video suck, and that's why your video sucks. I have no idea if that's going to fix that grid pattern. It might, in which case, great, and if not, at least you don't have some shitty effect exacerbating the problem. If it's still an issue after that, and it seems to be genuinely a problem with your camera itself, use something else. This isn't that complicated. Alright, I'm watching the lens flare, and I see what you mean about how it looks kinda like it hits a spherical thing, I guess. But it's a lens flare. You know it's a lens flare. This effect completely moves along with your camera. This is not something that's in the sky, and you know it. You saw me make pretty much exactly the same thing playing with my lens flare at the start. This is nothing. You know it's nothing. It's a lens flare. So what the hell?
Why would it do that? Why would it do that?
Why would it do what? I'm really confused if we're talking about the lens flare or the pattern. Can we stick with one at a time? No, we can't. Okay. I'm guessing pattern, and I already talked about that as much as I need to. So, I don't need to talk about that anymore. I might as well have not paused this at all. I hope we get to something fresh soon.
So it's getting bigger now, that one over there, see? It's getting bigger. It's getting higher. That's what it's doing. It's getting bigger and higher.
Is it actually, like outside of your camera with your eyes, or are you just standing there staring at your camera and not at the sky? I've noticed over the year or so that I've been looking at this kind of stuff that conspiracy theorists like this seem to think that digital cameras are like the glasses from They Live. There's some sort of magical device that shows you the real reality that they don't want you to see. I don't know how they think they do that, but apparently they do. It's an extremely bizarre phenomenon. And frankly, if cameras were doing that, I don't think they would be so eager to sell them to you.
One great big fucking planet, because it's literally dark blue. Red.
It's getting pretty hard to hear you here, but I'm getting the idea now that what you're calling a planet is the dark blue spot up in the sky, which isn't really a spot, it's just most of the sky. Remember what I was talking about, how the sky higher up is a darker blue than the sky lower down. And I know you're not seeing this with your eyes. I mean, we just saw a much more accurate color video. You showed it to us and it's from this same period of time and it doesn't look anything like that. This is all just manufactured by whatever stupid filter you're using. That's not showing you the real world. That's hiding the real world from you. Look with your eyes, or at least through a well-configured camera. Come on.
Just blue, not even dark blue, just blue. But you can sort of see stuff's moving about.
Sorry about the wind noise, but look at this pattern. Yeah? Color banding and noise cranked up to 11 by your stupid-ass filter. I know I'm being kind of repetitive about this, but I really can't say it enough. Like, these conspiracy theorists fuck up their imagery so much, so often. Video after video, year after year. It gets a little frustrating to watch, honestly. I wish I could get through to just like one of them. I mean, I guess Donnie of Daytona's doing a little bit better lately, so that's one case of getting through to one of them, sort of. He's still spreading conspiracy theories like crazy, but at least some of his imagery looks a bit better.
There's a big white light now. Here, see?
Yeah, I see that big white light. Play that back. Slower. So, we have that tree there surrounded by white, or at least much lighter sky. It's what I said before, where the darkening effect seems to dodge around dark objects like trees. Now, watch what happens when that finger comes in. Based on what I just said about the tree and the darkening effect, what's your prediction for what's going to happen? Well, here it is. Everything around the finger lightens up, and the darkness dodges away. Wow, look at around that finger, there's a big white light now. See, this is why I'm telling you to look with your eyes. This is not reality. In reality, the sky itself is not brightening around your finger. Use your fucking head.
See that?
Yeah, did you see it? If you're going to observe the world through an iPhone or whatever this is, at least exercise a little care in what effects you put on, and if you're going to put them on, at least pay attention to how they work. When you see one of them supposedly making a bright white light around an object, and then you jam your finger in and it makes a bright white light around that too, consider that maybe, just maybe, that bright white light is not actually in the sky, Hunter. Get out of the cult of camera incompetence. By the way, this is probably a pretty decent explanation for that light spot you saw on the other side, too. I didn't realize at the time that you were just staring down at your phone while you were doing this. I kind of assumed you were watching the sky yourself as well. Now that I know you're just ignoring the sky and watching it on a screen, it really explains a lot.
What side is that, Mr. Dobbs?
Who's Mr. Dobbs? Keep eye on the green lens flare coming up now. See? It spreads out. Yeah, because it's hitting the right angle to reflect back off of different elements in your lens. That's what a lens flare is. As if it's hitting a sphere shape. Well, let's be real. It's circular. There's no real sign that it's spherical. I can see how you might interpret it that way, as an illusion kind of, because it's only part of a circle, so it looks like light is shining on one part of a sphere at some points, kind of. But it's a 2D circular shape. And secondly, do you notice how this supposed sphere shape moves exactly along with the lens flare produced by your camera? When you move your camera, that sphere is moving too. I'm pretty sure you're capable of figuring out why that is without me telling you again, so I'll just leave it there, I guess. You know what I think, but thought it was worth a mention. Bah! I don't know what you think. Do you think it's a lens flare? Do you think it's a planet? A Yeti? I don't know. I don't think you ever actually told us what you think that is. You told us what you think a bunch of other stuff is, but not that, I don't think. But then again, when you were talking about that pattern and the lens flare at the same time, I got kind of confused. Maybe somewhere in there you did tell us. Kind of hard to say at this point.
The yellow light right in front, you see that? Yellow. Sun's over here. Yellow. Right in front of us. See that?
Yeah, but the yellow light's not actually yellow, is it? Any more than your finger's dark red-orange. You know that common modern idea that these kids these days just wander around staring at their phones and they never look up and enjoy the real world? Yeah, I feel kind of like a boomer saying it, but get off your fucking phone and join us in real life for a while.
Look, the square pattern is between 2, 1, 2. See the blues?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Something about 2 different blues. I know leaving a clip in just so I can say I don't know what you're talking about is kind of stupid, but I thought maybe if I leave it here, someone can at least figure out what the hell that means.
Fucking look for the patterns, eh?
Huh. Maybe you do just mean the color banding. I don't know. It's honestly kind of hard to tell because you don't really describe the pattern you're seeing either. I don't really know for sure which one you're interested in.
Still see 2 blues. 1, 2. See? 2.
Well, if your filter's dodging around stuff, it's going to dodge around the house too. So yeah, I would expect the sky around that big house to look brighter than the sky not around the big house. You know it takes more effort to hold that phone up all day than to not do that, right?
3, look. The fucking race of the chemtrails.
Lots of planes in the sky, that's what you get for living in England. If it bothers you, maybe you should move. Although you seem perfectly happy to walk around outside all day in the chemically air. Guess it doesn't really bother you that much.
And look at the fucking, look, the sun's supposed to have gone down. Look at that fucking pink and over there. Ain't no fucking sun.
You got a real problem with pink. Sunsets have always had pink in them. That's like one of the reasons people like sunsets. What's the problem?
That's why. See here, big camera. But
whoa, camera reception. And look at that sky back there. Oh my god. It's like sapped out all the color. It's completely banded to shit. That camera's struggling to deal with that. What the hell are you using? To be fair, it's not really the camera as such. It's the software that's putting the filter on that's struggling to process it, it seems. God, it's just awful. And this is what you want us to think creates an accurate view of the sky? Are you fucking kidding me?
Here, let's see. Just there. Let's pick it.
I've been waiting for this moment. I gotta stop for a second and take a look at the comments. Cause when I scroll down to the comments on this video are sorted by newest first. And the newest comment on this video is about this exact thing. Bonnie Van Dijk says, Planet X Hunter, do you watch your own videos after recording? Because when you're recording your backyard and are going into your house and turn around to record for patterns, the recording slows way down like time itself is slowing down, and then a low, horrible growling starts, and then a form becomes visible like a spaceship, and I get the feeling it stares at you and quickly disappeared. If you see it, you should have it looked at by someone you trust and get another opinion. There definitely was something there, and since you didn't mention it, I wondered if you noticed it. Strange craft appears about 14:02 time of video. Low growling starts, and then a gray image. Then it seems to fade out, and then boom, there it is, a spaceship with more detail. And it quickly disappeared. Okay, Bonnie, for one thing, this was not the first time this happened in this video. I don't know if you're just skipping around through it or something, but if you are, you're killing the guy's watch time. Come on now. That's just rude. Secondly, of course he knew about it. That's why he slowed the video down, to show you the gray spot in the sky. He's as interested in gross artifacts from slightly shitty cameras as you are. The technological ignorance on display in the video is already pretty bad, but the technological ignorance in this comment is just catastrophic. Oh, that's just fantastically helpful, thank you. Looks great, perfect photography. Let's just keep it like this. You have no idea the kind of UFOs I'm seeing right now. Alright, well, there's not much more for talking in this video, not much for interesting captions either. So I think I'm gonna call that the end. I guess the message I would like to leave you with is, if you buy a camera, you don't have to become an expert, you don't have to know everything, you don't have to be a professional photographer, but please at least play with it and maybe even read about it. Watch YouTube videos about it. Just enough to understand what it is, the very basics of how it works, what exposure means, what ISO means, what a sensor is, how focus works, what depth of field is, what software effects are, common optical aberrations and flaws specific to digital photography. You can be up to speed with the basics of how to work a digital camera and the different kinds of effects it can produce, the different kinds of flaws to watch out for, how to fix them in a day, less than a day. And if you go into it with the understanding that your camera not only might, but will show you things that are not present in the external world outside the camera, you won't be confused like all of these people. I don't understand how so many people have become so confused by basic consumer technology. This stuff is easily accessible to most people. Probably most of the people who believe this shit own a smartphone. They could pick that thing up and just film around. Produce any one of these weird effects that people produce with their smartphones. Pay attention to the fact that it's clearly being produced by the camera because it moves around with the camera and you can produce it without looking at the sky at all. It's not something that comes from the sky. But they don't. They just don't care. It's incredible. For all their lip service to the truth, they seem to have no motivation to do so much as 5 minutes of work to determine the truth for themselves. It's mind-blowing. Anyway, I don't mean to go off on a rant here. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Hopefully you've enjoyed my first month back making filmed videos after quite a while. These videos went up for patrons in February, patrons and Subscribestar supporters. If you like the channel, please consider supporting it on one of those platforms, even with a small amount. It's extremely helpful. It's the whole reason I can dedicate so much time to this. If even 1% of my subscribers pledged $2 each, this thing would be rock solid for ages. But that's enough of that. See you on the next one.